Hey everyone, back with me again, Joseph, your host, and welcome back to our channel and the Catechism for Kids. Today we're going to dive deep into a really special prayer from the Bible, Psalm 72. Have you ever thought about what makes a good leader, like a king or a president? This psalm gives us a beautiful picture of what God hopes for in a leader. So let's get started and explore the prayer for a good and just king. First off, what is Psalm 72 all about? It's a prayer, a song really, asking God to bless a king with justice and wisdom. The person praying hopes this king will be someone who cares for the poor, defends the weak, and brings peace to all the people. It's a beautiful vision for a kingdom that is fair, kind, and where everyone is looked after. It's not about having a powerful ruler who just gives orders, but a leader who truly serves his people. Now, while this psalm was written for a king long ago, for Christians, it has a much deeper meaning. Who does it point to? You guessed it, Jesus. We see Jesus as the true and perfect king who brings lasting peace, justice, and healing. He is the king who defends the weak and lifts up the poor. So when we read this psalm today, we often think of Jesus and the kind of kingdom he came to build, a kingdom of love and service. This psalm also gives us a powerful lesson on what good leadership should look like, not just for kings, but for all of us. A true leader serves. They don't just protect the vulnerable and work to create peace. In a world where we sometimes see leaders who are selfish or unfair, Psalm 72 reminds us of God's standard, a standard of compassion and justice that we should all strive for. So where does this psalm fit into the bigger picture of the Bible? Psalm 72 is actually the final psalm in the second of 5 books that make up the book of Psalms. This section, which runs from Psalm 42 to 72, is filled with prayers about trust, hope, and God's help. Psalm 72 wraps up this entire section with a powerful prayer for the king. Who wrote it? The title says it is of Solomon, which could mean Solomon wrote it himself. Or maybe it was written for him. Some scholars even think King David wrote it as a prayer for his son Solomon, right before he became king. It's like a father's blessing and hope for his son's reign. What makes it even more special is a little note at the very end. It says, "The prayers of David, son of Jesse, are ended." This line acts like a conclusion to a whole collection of David's psalms, showing us just how important this final prayer for a just king really is. It's the grand finale of this section, pointing toward the ultimate hope for God's people. From a Catholic perspective, this prayer doesn't just look back at Solomon, it looks forward to Jesus. He is the ultimate fulfillment of this kingly prayer. He's the one who establishes a kingdom of justice and peace that will last forever. So, even though it may have started as a prayer for an earthly king, we now read it with our eyes fixed on Christ, our true king. Let's look closer at the qualities of this ideal king described in the psalm. He is fair and kind. He actively helps the poor and protects those who are in need, stops those who do evil, and brings peace wherever he goes. Doesn't that sound a lot like Jesus? Jesus is our king and our shepherd. He healed the sick, he fed the hungry, and he always stood with those who were pushed to the margins of society. The psalm teaches that real power isn't about being in charge. It's about using your influence to help others. The king isn't meant to be above the people, but to serve them. This echoes Jesus' own words and actions. He said he came not to be served, but to serve. That's the model of leadership he gives us. Justice is another huge theme here. The king in Psalm 72 defends the rights of the poor and ensures everyone is treated fairly. This lines up perfectly with what our Catholic faith teaches us about social justice. We are called to care for the forgotten, to be a voice for the voiceless. Because God hears their cries, and we should too. The psalm also talks about a kingdom without end. It says the king's rule will stretch from sea to sea. This vision of a global, everlasting kingdom points directly to Christ's kingdom, which has no borders and includes people from every nation. As members of his church, we are already part of that kingdom, and we're called to live by its values right now. So how does this ancient psalm speak to us today in our modern world? It gives us a clear standard for what we should look for in our leaders. We should pray for and support leaders who care for the poor, protect the weak, and work for peace and fairness. It gives us a blueprint for a better society. But it's not just about leaders out there. It's a reminder for us, too. If Jesus is our King and his kingdom is one of service, then we should live that way as well. This means helping people in need, standing up for what is right, and being peacemakers in our families, schools, and communities. Think about it. We all have leadership roles in some way. Parents lead their children. Teachers guide their students. Older siblings can be role models for younger ones. Pastors care for their congregations. Psalm 72 encourages us to use whatever influence we have to serve others with love and humility, not just to be in charge. When you hear this psalm in church, especially during Advent or Christmas, it has a special power. It's often used during these seasons because we are either waiting for Jesus, the Prince of Peace, or celebrating his arrival. It perfectly captures our longing for a world guided by faith and justice. One of the most important times we hear this psalm is on the Feast of the Epiphany. That's the day we remember the Magi, the wise men who traveled from far away to honor Jesus as a newborn king. The psalm says, "Kings will bring gifts and bow before him," which fits the Epiphany story perfectly. It reminds us that Jesus is the King of all nations. Every time we hear Psalm 72, it's a call to action. It directs our hearts to Christ, our King, and reminds us to live as true members of his kingdom. That means living a life of peace, mercy, and love right where we are. Let's end with a short prayer inspired by this beautiful psalm. You can close your eyes and pray along with me in your heart. Jesus, our King, help us to see the people around us who need care. Open our eyes to the poor, the lonely, and the hurting. Teach us to listen with compassion and to act with kindness. Give us the courage to speak up when things are not fair. Help us stand with those who feel left out. Show us how to be builders of peace at school, at home, and online. Let us be instruments of your kingdom, here and now. Remind us that real strength is found in serving and lifting others up. Help us to lead with a kind heart. When we feel small or powerless, remind us that you are with us, and that even our smallest acts of love matter to you. Thank you for being a King who cares so deeply for each one of us. Help us to follow your way every single day. Amen. I encourage you to take a few minutes this week to read Psalm 72 for yourself. As you read, think about how it paints a picture of Jesus. What line or phrase stands out to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you discover. Thanks so much for joining me today to explore this incredible psalm. I hope it inspires you to live as a citizen of Christ's kingdom of justice and peace. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, and may the Lord bless and keep you always.